Last week, Daddy Dave Hollis released his book, Here's to Your Dreams, his first ever children's book published by Tommy Nelson, the children's division of Thomas Nelson, the Christian imprint of HarperCollins, the publishing company whose workers are currently on strike because they're being paid too little by upper management. This children's book was absolute garbage. If you haven't yet seen my full review of this book, then please do check it out. I will link it up in the cards. It came out last Friday. I had a few positive things to say about the book, like the fact that it smells really good, because new book smell is an amazing thing, and I'm glad so many people in the comments agreed with me on that. In addition, I thought most of the illustrations were really nicely done, with the exception of the illustrator, assumedly under the direction of the publisher, choosing to make Dave's mixed-race daughter, who is half black, lighter skinned than Dave himself, who is fully white, which is a choice, a very strange choice that I don't think most of us agreed with. But the worst part of this book entirely was the writing, and of the writing, while the poetry was terrible and cringy and awful to get through, the worst part of the book itself was the very concept, the whole idea of taking your child and trying to profit off of them and their story, especially after you've been caught live in 4K being super rude and dismissive to that child on Instagram Live. Justice for influencers, kids, now! Noah deserves better. Anyway, this book sucks. I think it needs to go the way of the Cancel Me Daddy candle. Now, if this book were all that Dave had released, I would have kind of stopped there. However, after he released the book, I got an email from him to his email list, I guess, of people who pre-ordered the book, which said that as a special gift for us pre-ordering the book, in exchange, he was going to give us a special gift, some free downloadable educational materials. Let's take a look at what he said about those. Dave said, "Thank you for pre-ordering Here's to Your Dreams. This is a book based on the video series Tea Time with Noah that encourages children to be brave, believe in themselves, and to dream big. I am not a fan of the series Tea Time with Noah. I showed some clips in the previous video I did on this. Basically, it's Dave screaming self-help bullshit and personal development concepts at his 3 to 4-year-old daughter who is just trying to play with her toys and trying to have fun with her dad. Meanwhile, he keeps trying to steer the conversation in terms of, how are we going to set our goals? How are we going to adapt to change? And she's just there like, I want to play with my plastic food. It's awful. It's so exploitative, and it's very obvious from the way that Dave is talking to Noah that he's actually talking to the audience and not talking to a child in a way that a child would understand. It's awful. That's Tea Time with Noah, Dave's series of exploiting his daughter's cuteness to get people to watch his channel and buy his personal development materials. Don't like it at all. Your bonuses for purchasing this book include the Here's to Your Dreams worksheets. Enjoy these fun and educational, keyword educational, worksheets with your children. Noah's Guide to the Perfect Tea Time. Have tea time with your kids with this handy guide. I don't believe that Noah wrote this guide herself, as Noah is currently 5 years old, which is the age that you're probably learning to write your name at. No, Noah did not write this. It says it's Noah's Guide, but we really know it's Dave's guide because this whole book and this whole project is Dave projecting his own dreams and desires onto his child because he knows that the internet will think that she's adorable and will listen to Dave as a result. It's a very self-serving way of using his children for money. Hate it. Here's to Your Dreams activity book. Have fun with your kids with this educational, keyword educational, activity book. Now, as you guys may know, as I've mentioned on this channel before, I used to work as an English teacher for all grade levels. I was never a full-time public school teacher, but I did teach creative writing workshops in multiple different schools throughout Chicago, including public schools and private schools, extracurricular creative writing classes, and curricular creative writing classes. And throughout that time, I got to know from different age groups how they're able to learn at different levels. I've taught from first graders learning how to write their name into a cute little acrostic poem up through seniors in high school working on their college essays. In addition to that, I am the author of the Forever Home Friends series, which is a series of picture books based on real rescue dogs that also has an educational component, and those books have been used in elementary school classes to help teach kids certain concepts. So I'm going to be kind of comparing and contrasting Dave's educational materials along with some of the educational materials that I myself have made and I myself have used in my time teaching kids creative writing. So let's see if Dave has created anything truly educational or if this was just yet another lead magnet style cash grab in service of his own ego. Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to get us some nuts.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago.
You guys asked for it.
What's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy, and welcome back to Savvy Writes Books, the channel where we talk about books and business, where today we are continuing our exploration of Dave Hollis's hot mess of a children's picture book. But before we get into all of that, please don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Multiple times a week, I put out new videos all about books and business, including reviewing literature, reviewing business books, reviewing personal development materials sold to help you become a better entrepreneur, reviewing books published by small businesses, criticizing the multi-level marketing industry, and reviewing some of their educational materials from a literary perspective, and all of that. So if any of that type of stuff interests you, please go ahead and click the subscribe button and ring that little notification bell down below. Additionally, you may enjoy this mug that I'm drinking out of today. This is the mug for Your Morning Guru, which is my second channel and my live stream channel. So every morning for the past almost 2 years now, my best friend and I have been running this live stream show where, we want to be like a fun morning radio show, but with a video component. Or we could be like one of those morning talk shows, but more interactive. Basically, we're a live stream to get you up in the morning, get you ready for work, talk about the day's news, talk about business gurus, the health and wellness industry, the fitness industry, all of the type of topics that I cover on this channel, but in a more interactive live stream format. So go ahead and subscribe to that linked below. And if you're interested, on my website, savvywritesbooks.com, we have these adorable mugs available along with some other merch. Before we get too deep into today's topic, I really quickly do need to give a thank you to today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by MunkPack, a brand of plant-based, gluten-free, non-GMO nut and seed bars that have become some of my favorites to eat during the past few months. As a lot of y'all probably know, I work out a lot. When I do things in life, when I do anything in life, I like to do things a lot. I exercise a lot, I sleep a lot, I work a lot, and of course, that means I also have to eat a lot. Sometimes I need a snack during the day in addition to my meals, and for those snacks, I need something easy and convenient because I don't have the time to be making myself fancy charcuterie boards every day. So having a delicious nut and seed bar is exactly what I need to fill that craving, especially with my favorite flavors of MunkPack bars, dark chocolate sea salt and caramel sea salt. MunkPack Keto Granola Bars and Nut and Seed Bars have 1 gram of sugar, 2 to 3 grams of net carbs, and 150 calories per bar. You can get 20% off of your first purchase of any MunkPack product by visiting munkpack.com and entering the code SAVVY at checkout, or just by clicking the link in my description down below, which will also get you 20% off. Keep in mind that MunkPack also offers a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like the bars for any reason, they'll gladly exchange the product for you or refund you your money, whichever you prefer. So if you do want to enjoy some sweet and crunchy snacks without all the extra sugar, check out that link in my description below, and don't forget to use my code SAVVY for 20% off of your order. Thank you again to MunkPack for sponsoring me today. Now, back to the video. Additionally, thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you guys supporting this channel, being wonderful, supporting me, and believing in me and my dreams in a way that Dave Hollis never could truly believe in anyone's dreams but his own. Thank you guys. You inflate my ego to a bigger size than Dave Hollis's, and that's saying quite a lot, isn't it? That was a joke. So I went and downloaded this PDF workbook of Dave Hollis's educational materials to go along with the Tea Time with Noah book. I shouldn't have been shocked. I shouldn't be surprised. I keep letting myself get surprised by the same things happening to me over and over again. Wasn't it Albert Einstein who said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Looking back, it was probably actually Rachel Hollis, Dave's ex-wife, who said that because she originally said every quote in existence. That's why she's able to get away with plagiarism all the time. Anyway, I should at this point probably expect this type of thing to happen when I open up the PDF workbook of any free thing that comes with a purchase or with an email sign up. I did this with the Girl Defined course a few weeks ago where I signed up to get Bethany's free workbook to go with the She Works Smart course, which I will be reviewing next week. But the ebook itself, remember, was only 2 pages. I'm going to review the full course next week, but the ebook itself had nothing to review because it was 2 pages long. It was literally like a cover and then like a page. It was ridiculous. So I shouldn't be surprised when these things that are supposed to like get your foot in the door require absolutely no effort whatsoever on the part of the creator. Now I will say, I do have a lead magnet on my own website. Like, so if you look in my description below, there's an email list sign up where you can sign up for my email list to get my email newsletters. And when you sign up for the Savvy email list, which is linked below, it should send you a workbook that I created. So I, back in 2018, created like a writing workbook that has writing prompts, writing exercises, like things to get to know your characters, things to get to know your plot better, things that break it down, types of worksheets that I would have given to my students in the past and things like that. So I have a whole workbook, and I believe it's like 40 pages long, and that's free if you sign up for my email list. So go ahead, sign up for my email list right now. You get like email updates on all the books I have coming out and stuff like that. And I've got a million writing projects under my belt right now. But my point is, just because something's free doesn't mean you put absolutely no effort into it. If you're trying to entice people, this was free with purchase, so it wasn't even really free. It was just the fact that it came as a bonus for the fact that I pre-ordered Dave's book. Now, I will give Dave credit in that he did better than Bethany, whose ebook was 2 pages. Dave's ebook is 5 pages. Yes, it is more than twice the length of Bethany's. Congratulations. Dave's is twice the length of Bethany's. Dave has twice the length. Never thought I'd say that. But let's look at the materials inside of it, and then I'm going to compare them to some of the educational materials that I myself have created in the past. So here we have the exclusive Tea Time extras. So the first page is, of course, a cover. Nothing wrong with that if there were actual content in the rest of this. So let's start with the first page. Noah's Guide to the Perfect Tea Party, written in a Boss Babe font. Written in a font that looks like it's going to be on an Instagram graphic to sell you on an MLM product. Now, there's nothing wrong with this font on its own. I've used similar fonts as this on other things that I've created in the past. We're gonna see in a minute how this font doesn't really fit with it being for kids. So here we go. Noah knows a thing or two about planning the best tea party. You guys remember that there was a Nickelodeon show in like the early 2000s called Noah Knows Best? I think it had like 2 episodes ever. There's some like Nickelodeon shows that nobody remembers. I think Noah Knows Best. If you remember that show, drop me a comment down below, because another Nickelodeon show, quick tangent, another Nickelodeon show I used to love was 100 Good Deeds for Eddie McDowd. I loved that show when I was a kid, and I didn't realize that nobody remembered it until I saw the Scott Kramer video on it, and all the comments were people being like, whoa, what was this show? Now I'm starting to feel old, because I guess a lot of people on the internet were like born after the turn of the century and whatever. You guys remember that? Noah knows best. So that's what Dave's over here saying. He's saying that Noah knows best, except when she's saying, I'm hungry and want pancakes, then Dave is saying, actually, Noah, you don't know anything. Go back inside and get me my computer charger and help me do my job, even though you're 4. Then Dave doesn't think Noah knows best. But according to Dave, she does know about how to plan a good tea party. In reality, Noah is 4 or 5 years old. She is not planning tea parties at all. She's just playing tea party with her dad, which it's like, just let her be a kid, Dave. She doesn't have to know about planning anything. 1, grab all your favorite friends and stuffies. Don't forget to invite your grown-up. Now, last week when I reviewed Dave's picture book itself, I talked about how I thought the book would have actually been a lot better if the book were about, not Noah, about a fictional child, because you shouldn't be writing it about your real child to begin with, but if it were about a child who, with their other child friends, or with their stuffed animals, or with their dog. I pointed out how the illustrator did a great job drawing Jeffrey the Schnauzer in the book. If this book had been about a little child and their dog going on these adventures together, having a tea party with their dog, then that would have been great, because one of the key components to writing a story that's really going to resonate with kids and keep their interest is to give the child character agency, because you want the child to be able to learn something through that child's perspective, not see it as yet another thing where the adult ends up having to be the hero and save the day. There's nothing wrong with having adults in children's literature. There's nothing wrong with adult characters being there. Some of my favorite books have adult characters and very present parents in the situation, but the parent can't be the one driving the story forward and making the key decisions that take the plot to the next level, because at that point, you often are going to start to lose the kid's interest. And again, as I've pointed out, this is not universally true. Fairy tales, princess stories, things like that often have adult characters as the main character, but in a lot of stories, if a child is going to be the focus of the story, then that child should have the most agency out of all of the characters, in my personal opinion. So when it says here to grab your favorite friends and stuffies, the book didn't really show any friends or stuffies other than Jeffrey the dog was hanging out with them, but Jeffrey the dog was never actually referenced in the book. He was just shown in the pictures, and he was adorable, but it would have been great to have had him be the Noah's sidekick in the book instead of having Dave be the sidekick, but actually the one who makes the decisions and saves the day by spewing personal development bullshit at a 4-year-old and things like that, right? I think that this is a little disingenuous to be like, grab all your favorite friends and stuffies, don't forget to invite your grown-up. The book really, all it showcases is Dave as the grown-up being the one who's the most important in the situation, so don't like that at all. 2, it says set up the table and chairs and make sure everyone has a seat. Nothing wrong with this other than everyone everyone is one word in this context because it's talking about, everyone who's there. Everyone. Otherwise, it would be like, make sure everyone has a seat. Everyone what? In this context, if you make everyone two separate words here, then one is functioning as a pronoun. And if you have a pronoun, then it needs to have a contextual antecedent. And the antecedent is the tables and chairs, based on, that's the only thing I can think of in the sentence that it could also be referring to. So if it's saying make sure everyone has a seat, it sounds like you're saying that you want to make sure the table and chairs have a seat. So the chairs are sitting on other chairs, I guess. This is just chairs all the way down. Pick out a drink. Noah suggests something yummy and bubbly. In none of the Tea Time with Noah videos has Noah ever been drinking anything bubbly. Dave is drinking LaCroix usually. When people say bubbly, they're usually thinking of sparkling wine and things like that. Or I guess you could be thinking of sparkling water, but yummy, something yummy and bubbly. I don't know. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It just rubs me a little bit the wrong way. Set the table with your best plates and cups. Lay out some delicious treats. You can't go wrong with cookies and crackers and cheese. I don't know. Didn't Hassan get banned for saying one of those things on Twitch? Number 6. I hate this one. Take a potty break. Don't forget this step. Trust Noah on this one. That's disgusting, Dave. That is fucking disgusting. Do not talk about real children going to the bathroom. Real life, do not, okay? Talking about fictional children going to the bathroom in an educational context is fine. If you want to write a book about potty training, go for it. Just make sure the child's fictional. Don't write a book about a real child's potty training. That's disgusting. If you want to write a book about a class of kids, there's a kindergarten class and they have to line up and go to the bathroom or something, going to the bathroom in a story is fine. Saying don't forget the potty break, trust Noah on this one. Basically what Dave is implying here is that Noah goes potty during the tea time. That they'll be playing tea time and then she'll be like, 1 sec, daddy, I'm gonna go potty. And that actually did happen in one of the videos. I didn't show it on the video because there was a lot of really gross and inappropriate stuff in the Tea Time with Noah videos that I didn't show, but I did tweet and tag HarperCollins, and I was like, are you condoning the way that this man showcases his daughter and exploits her and profits off of her? I was just disgusted by that. Dave, no, don't reference your real child going potty. You know why? Because she's gonna grow up into an adult and find that extremely awkward and cringy and just really gross to look back on. That's gonna make her extremely uncomfortable. I'm just talking about this from my personal perspective as an adult. If I found out that there was a book that someone in my family wrote about me that was Savvy says it's time to go potty, make sure you go potty, I don't want people thinking about me shitting. That's disgusting. Especially when I'm a little child. Ew. Dave, don't be fucking gross. Number 7, think of some really fun and hard questions for your grown-up. Okay, that level of instruction is not enough for a child. I know this because I've done story readings with children where I've gone to school to do a school visit, an elementary school, and I've sat down with kids and I've read my Forever Home Friends books to them. And as I'll show you guys in a minute, each of my Forever Home Friends books in the back has a set of discussion questions. So often I will go through the discussion questions with kids. However, the discussion questions are often targeted at the older end of the kids in the age range, whereas the younger kids might need those questions modified a little bit for them. So, for example, if I'm reading Smile Chewy to a group of kids, the story goes through Chewy's discovering of self-confidence, how when he was abused when he was younger, he ended up with some scars. And it's told in a very child-friendly way. The violence is not explicit whatsoever. At the end of the book, there is this question that talks about Chewy gaining confidence. And I say, Chewy has to learn to get a sense of confidence. What is confidence? Confidence is when you feel good about yourself and know that you can do something, that you feel like you're good at something and you know you're going to do a good job. Chewy feels confident in this book when he gets his picture taken and smiles for the camera. When in life do you feel confident? What are some things that you know that you're good at? And that can often spark a discussion, usually around kids in the younger elementary age groups, ages 7 or 8 or so. If I'm reading this book to 3 or 4-year-olds, that question is going to go a little bit over their heads. Some of them will get it and raise their hand and be like, I can ride my bike or something, and it's very cute. But other times they'll just be like, he's a dog? And they'll just still be stuck on that. They won't be able to focus on it. So oftentimes I will take that question and scale it back a little bit and say, all right, let's break down the story. Who's the good guy in the story? And they'll say, Chewy, the dog, he's the good guy. Who's the bad guy in the story? Oftentimes they'll say, okay, the guy who hurt Chewy, he's the bad guy. How does Chewy feel when he is scared to get his picture taken? Oh, he feels sad, something like that. They start identifying those emotions, but often you have to break it down a little more. So that's all to say that this needs to be scaffolded a little bit. And if this is a guide, think of some really fun and hard questions for your grown-up. That is so vague. Kids are going to have a million questions about that. What does that mean? Think of some really fun and hard questions. Does that mean trivia questions? Like some hard questions, like asking them trivia about Disney movies that you as the kid might know better than them? Is that what it means? Or are you talking about personal development questions? Are you talking about hard questions like, what is our purpose in this world? What are our goals? How do we adapt to change? Like, kids aren't going to know to make those connections. It's just not going to happen. And this is just further proof that Dave has never worked in children's education, that Dave has never studied children's literature, and he's kind of going into this just profiting off of his own clout as a self-help guru influencer, rather than actually doing this with the idea in mind of wanting to truly educate kids. This is an ego project above all else. It says, pour the tea and say cheers. Now it's time to sip your fancy tea and have fun. I don't know what fancy tea means in this situation because you said something bubbly, and I don't think tea is usually bubbly. Unless you mean like bubble tea, like boba. Like, are you having like boba? I'm so lost in what is even going on here, and I'm 30. I'm a 30-year-old with a master's degree in English, and I can't understand this, and you expect that 4-year-olds are gonna read this and be like, yep, I get it. Okay, let's go to the next page. Create your very own mantra. Now, I'm not sure if it's mantra. I've heard people say mantra, but I'm from the Midwest, and we say all A sounds like ah. We do that. I get in arguments with Tyler all the time about whether the word is plaza or plaza. He says plaza. I'm like, plaza? What are you talking about? Where did Eloise live? In the plaza, obviously. Anyway, I'm Midwestern, so I'm gonna say mantra. Hopefully that's okay. Create your very own mantra. A mantra is something we say to ourselves to help us find encouragement in difficult times. What child is gonna be like, I need something to help me find encouragement in difficult times? An example, maybe something to connect. There's this concept in education called scaffolding. And I think that a lot of people who are influencers that then decide to write a children's book because it's easy, they forget that scaffolding is a concept. I talked about this with the Matt Walsh book as well. And I know Johnny the Walrus wasn't meant to really be a children's book. It was meant to be a troll effort to try to just have transphobic dog whistles everywhere and be like, see, kids don't get it. That's because being trans is confusing. It's like, no, Matt, it's because you're a shitty writer. But anyway, in that video, when I reviewed that as well, I also talked about this concept of scaffolding, which is the idea that you can get kids to the level of being able to understand a more complex concept, but you can't just introduce it there. You can't just like throw it at them. You have to slowly build up to it, and you have to start with what they know, add a little bit, draw the connection clearly, add a little bit, draw the connection clearly. It's like you're building scaffolding. That's why it's called scaffolding, right? So when you have this here, a mantra is something we say to ourselves to help us find encouragement in difficult times. No child is going to know what that means. I mean, when I say no child, a 12-year-old, sure. No child that is reading Tea Time with Noah with their parents is going to understand this. No little 2 or 3-year-old is going to know what the fuck Dave is talking about here. First of all, what does difficult times mean to a child? What does difficult times mean? What does the word difficult mean to them? Something can be easy. Okay. Easy can mean that I can do this task without too much struggle. Okay. What is something difficult? Is difficult emotionally difficult? Because a lot of times kids don't understand emotions being complex in a difficult kind of way like that. Emotions are often like, I feel good or I feel bad. And that's why kids don't often have those complex words to express their emotions in a more nuanced way. We know that. That's why kids often cry. That's why kids scream a lot. It's not because they want to be nasty and annoy you. It's because they often don't have the words, and it can be very frustrating not to have the right words to try to convey the complex array of emotions you're feeling, so they often just are like, ah! So the idea of something being a difficult time, if you say to a kid, I'm having a difficult time, they're not going to know what you mean by that. You usually have to be a lot more direct and get them to that level. So I don't know what's going on with this. It's like these little fill in the blanks, which I think I will give Dave credit and say I think the fill in the blanks as a concept is cute. Kids love doing Mad Libs. I love doing Mad Libs as a kid. I still love doing Mad Libs as an adult and just filling in like your mom, my dick, and things like that into all of them. That shit never gets old. But Mad Libs are fun when you're a kid. So I get this, doing I am blank. I am blank. And in these, you wanna fill in some good things about yourself. So I get it. This worksheet, other than the directions being extremely confusing, the worksheet itself is not that bad. This worksheet also isn't terrible. Writing out your dreams and goals can help you make them come true. For kids who are, 5, 6 years old, a lot of them can understand what it means to not necessarily have a goal. I mean, they can sort of, but they understand what it means to follow your dreams. Like, they know the phrase, they've probably heard the phrase follow your dreams. They know what it means to love doing something. They have interests, they have hobbies, they have, types of play that they really enjoy and that they really seem to want to get better at. There's kids who to get passionate about sports or get passionate about trying to play an instrument or really love to draw, a lot of those interests start to develop. And a lot of kids, if you take people like me, a lot of kids wanted to do all of them at once because they were just really into everything. I think that this worksheet isn't bad. You know, I want to learn too. I want to get better at. When I grow up, I want to, you know, that's the thing you ask kids all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? I don't think that this on its own is that bad. I don't necessarily think kids need to focus too hard on getting better at things when they're like 4 and 5 years old, because at that age you're still just discovering what you like. You're still you're still like learning to do the thing at all to begin with. Like, I want to get better. You want to get better at reading maybe, but like this isn't the age to be putting too much pressure on kids and telling them that they're not doing it well enough yet, you know? This is not the age where we want to be like assigning grades to everything. We want to just be getting kids interested in what they're learning. So I don't necessarily think I'd go with that question. However, the rest of them I think are totally fine. Then we have daily affirmations. Cut out your favorite daily affirmations and place them somewhere you see every day, like the bathroom mirror or your closet door. My mom would have been like, Savvy, stop getting tape all over the house because that's going to be sticky. And I'm not a fan of the font being used here, like this Boss Babe font. I don't like it because it's small, it's in really small text and it's squished up like this, and I think kids are going to have a hard time reading it. I just know that when I was a kid, my grandma wrote in cursive and I struggled to read it, and I just think maybe kids are going to have a hard time reading this. I don't know for sure though. I don't know for sure. So this is the entirety of the free gift, the educational materials that came along with Dave's book. I don't think that these are educational because I don't think that they don't think they connect well to the source material. If you want to use these in conjunction with the book, nothing that really happens in the book really connects to this, nor does Dave do a clear job connecting it in a way that the kid is going to understand. So let's say the kid and their parents read this book together, and then their parents give them these worksheets to work on together. There is no clear connection of how this connects to the book whatsoever. Now, I'm going to show you guys an example of something that I made, and this is not to say that I'm perfect, but it is to say that I hope you can understand the difference. So this is the Forever Home Friends activity workbook. I made this like a couple years ago. So this one was before Max the Vampire Kitty came out. That's our newest book, which is about a cat. So unfortunately, there's no worksheets in here for Max the Vampire Kitty because I haven't made an updated one yet. However, I want to really quick, before I go into this, prove that I'm better than Dave to all of you. I just want to be a little better than Dave today. Be better to Dave. It's like how Dave used to say, I'm going to be better tomorrow than I am today. I'm going to be better today than I am yesterday. He always used to say that on stage at Rachel's Rise conference. I'm going to say I'm going to be better than Dave. This workbook is 23 pages long, 22 because there's a cover. This was 22 pages long, a lot longer than Dave's. I am going to offer this for free to anyone who orders a Forever Home Friends book between now and Black Friday. So Black Friday, if you're not from the US, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. It is November 25th. So if you order it before the end of the day on Black Friday, if you order any book on the Forever Home Friends site, Princess Allie, Smile Chewy, Just Me Wrigley, Kringle's Christmas, Love of Senior Dogs, or Max the Vampire Kitty, if you order any of those, and that includes if you order like a plushie and book collection, any order you do that has a book in it whatsoever, I will give you this workbook for free with it. So what you need to do is, if you order any of those, if you're planning to get them for a Christmas gift for someone or anything like that, send me an email at foreverhomefriends@gmail.com after you've purchased, and I will reply to the email with this PDF workbook for you. If that's something that you're interested in. If you don't want it, you don't need it, but like if you are interested in this and you think this looks good, then you can absolutely have it. So I originally made this as like a guide for teachers to have because Princess Allie and Smile Chewy in particular, some of my books have been taught in classes. I've had a few, especially Illinois public school teachers, because I do a lot of things locally, that have used the books to teach primarily first and second grade classes because the books do have some discussion questions and they can offer a good lesson. And so in here, I kind of consolidated a bunch of those worksheets and then also have some coloring pages. So if you see down here, I show what it includes. It includes 4 reading guides, 12 worksheets and writing prompts, and 5 coloring pages. And I will show you guys an example. So this is like the reading guide that I have for Princess Allie. We break it down. Who is the main character? What does the main character look like? What does Allie want at the beginning of the story? What does Allie get at the end of the story? And then these are some things that you could work on with your teacher to help understand the story and what's going on. Now, as I mentioned before, my Forever Home Friends books all have discussion questions in them. So I also have worksheets with the discussion questions. So if a teacher wanted to, instead of just having the kids look at the discussion questions in the back of the book and talk about them, if they wanted them to write them down, they could print out this page and take a look at these discussion questions, which this is one of the things I was saying Dave did not do. The discussion questions connect to the story. So it's like, at first, Allie wants to be a princess because she likes the princesses in her favorite stories. Who are some book characters you admire and why? So it's clear how the question connects to the story because we're talking about who Allie, the main character in the story, what she does, what she wants, and her interests, and then we connect it to you as the reader and think, okay, so you as the reader, how do you relate to this? What are some things that you can think of? And it says here, Allie doesn't get along with her new dog brothers right away. What are some difficulties that siblings can face when trying to get along? How can they resolve them? Now, there are some, harder words in this too. Words like resolve. Not every kid knows what resolve means, so that might be a place where a teacher kind of works with them on it. However, you can also work on breaking that down through context. Things like, if there is an issue that siblings are having, when we think of siblings, we know, okay, sometimes it's difficult to share, sometimes we get in an argument. What are some ways that we can work on those things? And we see how it connects to the story, because if you just read the book in class, you would have seen those conflicts playing out. So these are the discussion questions, and then throughout the book, I always put 3 or so harder words in the book that kids can usually determine based on context. And if they can't, in Max's book is where I started adding definitions in the back. And I'm probably going to update the other books to do that in the future. But then we can break down the vocabulary words. Then I have a writing prompt where it's okay, when Allie gets adopted, she thinks she's going to live in a castle. Her new home does not meet her expectations, which means it's different than she imagined it would be and different than what she wanted. When is a time something didn't meet your expectations? How did you make the best of that situation? And then a page for, someone to start writing, to think about what they did in that situation. And then, more writing prompts. And then I have a similar thing for Chewy, similar discussion questions about his book. And then I have that for all the first 4 books in this series. And then after that, we've got coloring pages. So I've got some of the art that I did for the books without the color in it. So these are images from the book that the kids can, color and enjoy. So if this reading guide looks like something that you think you would enjoy doing with your kids, or if you're a teacher, if you'd enjoy doing with your students, remember you can absolutely get it free between now and the end of Black Friday. If you order any book item in any order from my website, foreverhomefriends.com, which is linked below, 10% of our profits benefit animal shelters as well. And the holiday season, or the happy holiday season, is a great time to, start looking at it for gifts. And if you want this free activity workbook with it, send me an email at foreverhomefriends@gmail.com right after you order, and let me know that you want it, and I will reply to that email with this workbook that you can print out and give to your students or to your children, or work on it with them, or whatever you want, because I want to be cooler than Dave. Other than me trying to be cooler than Dave, my point with that whole comparison there was to show that I think a lot of times you get influencers, people who are in either the self-help sphere or just the online influencer sphere, who want to put out a book or want to put out something because they know it'll be a cash grab, because they know it'll make money, because they have a lot of followers, so their publisher already believes in them and already knows there's going to be guaranteed sales. And then a lot of times you get people who want to make a children's book because there's this misconception out there that writing for kids is easy. What writing for kids is short. It is shorter than writing for adults most of the time, although, poetry, there can be very complex poetry that's short and it's for adults, that can happen too. However, on average, when you write a picture book for a kid, there's going to be fewer words in it than there will be if you write a novel, which will generally have 50,000 plus words, whereas a children's book is often going to have under 1,000 words. So a lot of people think, oh, this could be something easy I could do. What they don't take into account is that kids have short attention spans. Writing something that's going to keep a kid's attention is going to be extremely difficult, and that also you have to break down concepts in a way that kids will understand and balance the words that you're writing with what the picture's going to show. There are a lot of things to take into account that you don't often take into account when writing for adults. And that's not to say that it's harder than writing for adults, because when writing for adults, you have to take into a lot more account, world building, visual descriptions, all other kinds of things. It's just to say that no writing genre or category is going to just be easy. No writing genre or category should be a cash grab. And that's why I guess some people consider me an internet influencer because I have a YouTube presence, but I went into YouTube after I started writing books and after I started publishing books and after I was already in grad school to try to get my master's in writing and publishing and things like that. So for me, I'm very passionate about books and writing and publishing, and then this angle of it came afterwards. Whereas I think for a lot of people, the influencer angle comes comes first, and then they see a book as just something they can do to grab some quick money. And it can be kind of insulting to people out there who are giving their heart and soul to writing and really do care about children's literature and children's education to see the kind of stuff that Dave is doing that isn't even targeting stuff that kids are going to understand or connect to. In my personal experience, a disclaimer, if you know a kid who loves Dave's book, that kid's experience is valid, their opinion is valid. I'm just talking about my experiences teaching kids and doing school visits with my books, doing story times, reading my books to kids, engaging kids in literary discussions and things like that. I don't think Dave knows what he's doing. I'm interested in hearing all of your thoughts in the comments below as well, though. I will be excited to see you guys next week, but in the meantime, please continue supporting small businesses, and if the small business you want to support is my small business, Forever Home Friends, then foreverhomefriends.com. Any book you order, email foreverhomefriends@gmail.com with your order information, and I will send you the free PDF download. Have a great start to your weekend. Thank you again to my sponsor and to my Patreon supporters. Love you guys. Bye!
Dave.
From the standpoint of, ooh, you will not go unpunished.
You guys asked for it.